Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Trendy with Kim Allison. Today, I am thrilled to introduce Katie Rich, a talented young stylist who specializes in blondes and bronze. I stalked her Instagram, y'all. She does amazing work, and I'm so excited to talk to her. Her work is not only stunning, but she also adds a touch of humor with her funny videos, which caught my eye, and I'm sure many of yours as well. We're excited to dive into her journey, her unique approach to hairdressing, and what makes her videos so engaging. So let's get inspired, everybody. Katie, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, yeah, I'm excited to have you. And thank you again, as I thank all of my guests for, you know what, I'm just going to call it what it is, giving me the time of day. Because I don't have a strong presence as of yet, but I'm growing every day, which I'm so excited about. Because as anyone who's listened to me rant over the past couple of months with this new show, my gift to the next generation of hair and beauty professionals is just to pass down whatever wisdom we can, in real life, where it's not a 30-second reel or it's not, you trying to decipher what someone means. I liken myself to ask the questions that I think would be helpful to maybe inspire someone, educate someone in some way. So here we are. So again, thank you.
Of course.
So Katie, I started my career, as we talked about off camera, with Tony and Guy 29 years ago. And from there, I parlayed into salon ownership. And now I'm a solo salon suite owner. And for some reason, I can't stop, won't stop, no matter how old I get, or at least for now. So Katie, tell us, how long have you been in the industry, and can you share your journey into hair?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I have been in the industry for about 8 years now, which is crazy because it doesn't feel like it's been that long, but also it just goes by in the blink of an eye. Kind of like what we were talking about earlier, like time just flies by so fast.
Doesn't it?
Oh, yes, it's crazy. But anyways, so let's see. If we want to start from the very beginning.
Sure.
I have always wanted to be a hairdresser. It's something that I love doing. Like all of my Barbie dolls' hairs, my Bratz dolls, they all have like bald heads because I would chop off all their hair, try out new styles, all the things. I remember when I was in kindergarten, we had career day. So everyone was going, they were doing like astronauts, firefighters, whatever. And I went up to my mom and I was like, Mom, I want to be someone that does hair. Like that's what I want to do. So it was so cute. She dressed me up in an apron. I took like a blow dryer with me. And she's like, well, the word, oh, sorry, my dog is in a playful mood right now.
Totally fine.
So sorry. But anyways, so yeah, she was like, the correct term is cosmetologist. And I remember going and just feeling so cool because I would tell everybody like, oh yeah, I'm a cosmetologist. And they're like, what the heck is that?
How old are you around this time?
Oh goodness, probably like 6.
Oh my God. I love that. Yeah. A 6-year-old referring to herself as a cosmetologist.
Yeah. So
that's so cute.
Isn't that funny? And so yeah,
seriously, so cute.
All the kids obviously had no idea.
Of course. They're like, what's that?
Yeah, absolutely. So anyways, so there was that. And so just growing up, like I loved doing my neighbor's nails. I would do, like in high school, I started cutting my guy friend's hair. I would do updos for dances, homecoming, prom, kind of all of those things. And my first haircut ever was on my oldest brother. And he naturally has like Afro curly hair, which obviously if you're a hairdresser, that's one of the most hard hairs.
Oh, yes, girl. Yes, it is.
Yeah. So, I just got my scissors. I watched a video on YouTube and I think I got some scissors from Sally's. Maybe it was in Walmart,
Well, at least you didn't get it out of your parents' kitchen drawer.
I mean,
that could be,
That could be even, yes, that is
that would be worse. Yeah.
It would be a lot worse.
Than Sally's.
Yes. So I got those and watched, a YouTube video and kind of just went after it. And I gave him bald spots, and it was a very uneven haircut, but he still lets me cut his hair to this day. So
Humble
I guess I didn't
beginnings.
do too bad.
Exactly. But, I like to say, I find that to be one of the common denominators is that
Mhm.
we all that stay in it, that end up being making it a career. I think there's some innate natural, just part of us. It's just a bit of us, if you will,
Yeah.
that hair just comes natural. You didn't think about it. You didn't have to think about it for your hands to gravitate toward working with someone's hair, if that makes sense.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Again, like I just feel like it was always a passion of mine. So I just, wanted to do it all the time.
So
And
where are you from? Where did you grow up here?
so I grew up in Idaho Falls, Idaho. It's a little
Oh,
tiny town in southeast Idaho. And it's a fun little place. It's growing, but it's definitely kind of what you think of Idaho. I went to a high school where our mascot was a potato. So it's very
of course, cliche.
yeah. That's what you think of Idaho. So that's
So, and when did you move to Arizona?
so I have been here for just over a year.
Oh, wow. So you
Mhm.
just
Yeah,
got here.
I just got here.
So
Yeah.
for those of you who are watching, I live in Arizona and I didn't know where Katie lived. And it just so happens she lives in my area, even in Arizona.
Next
Not
door to
only
me,
did,
basically.
yeah, I didn't know her prior to today. And we happen to live in neighboring cities. So that's pretty cool. And so you moved here from Idaho. So I'm assuming you went to beauty school. You got all your training and education to start in Idaho.
Yeah, so actually I moved here from Oregon.
Oh,
So it's been
okay.
Idaho, Oregon, and now here. But yes, so I feel like in Oregon and Arizona, they have all these programs now with high schools that are really neat where it's like you can go do a trade
Right.
as whether it's for your senior year, junior year, I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I've heard that. That seems to be common as
Yeah.
well in
So it's
your generation of hairdressers.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's becoming very common. That was not the
Mhm.
case for me in Idaho though. So
Mm.
I knew though, again, like I always knew I wanted to do hair. It was something that just, again, I just knew that's what I was going to do.
Well, you were 6, calling yourself, referring to yourself as a cosmetologist. I think there is your indicator. Yes,
Right,
you're going to be a
seriously.
hairdresser someday.
Right. But yeah, so so since my high school didn't do that, I had to take extra classes like over the summertime, do other things like that so I could go to beauty school while I was in high school. So I remember taking just a few online courses over the summer so I could get those credits. And then I was able to count my beauty school as an elective. So I went like half day high school and then half day hair school.
Nice.
I started that the summer before my senior year of high school. So that was 2016. Yeah. So started that. And then I finished beauty school in October of 2017. So it took me about a year and a half to finish beauty school. Yeah. Especially where I was doing it kind of part-time. It definitely took a little bit longer than everybody else I was going to school with, but
but hey, it didn't take you 4 years of a university.
Right. Yeah, well, exactly. So so I did that and I graduated in October of 2017 and I've been doing it ever since. So.
Well, I love it. I come from the generation of departmentalized hairdressing. Do you know what that is?
Yeah, you can go into a little bit more detail, but I'm pretty sure I know what you
So
mean.
being that I started at Tony and Guy, I had to choose between being a colorist and being a hair cutter. And I naturally gravitated toward haircutting. But I noticed in your generation, color seems to dominate haircutting. And it was a little bit of the opposite when I came up, right? Even though color was always what it was, but we worked in tandem, like as a team, like your color kind of supported the haircut and vice versa. So whoever you chose to partner with as a colorist, you kind of got each other that way. And I ended up working with the colorist that I partnered with for 20 years until she retired.
Oh, wow.
So we shared our clientele, and her color always complemented my cuts and vice versa. Right. And so your generation, I feel color is where you start, and then the cutting, and no shade, swear to anyone in this generation of hair, but it almost seems like cutting is an afterthought. It's just like, well, I'll just cut across the bottom, put some beach waves in, and then, but the emphasis is color. Now you can correct me if I'm wrong, because that kind of leads me into my next question for you. How did you choose to specialize in blondes and bronze?
Yeah, so no, I completely agree with you on all of that. I actually just last year took a hair class, and it was Michelle Zeller and Dom Dom. I don't know if you.
Oh, yeah. I know who Dom Dom is.
Yeah, and that was like my first hair cutting class that I've taken.
Really?
Yes. So,
And let me ask you, how long out of beauty school did it take for that to be your first hair cutting class?
I think that was 2023.
Oh,
So
okay.
like 6 years.
Right. And that's a pretty substantial amount of time into your career before you went to your first cutting class. So that kind of supports my theory.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely think cutting is not as popular as coloring is. Kind of like what you were saying. It's just kind of, again, people just do a quick little trim, if you will, and then just call it good, you know? But again, yeah, no shade to anybody. Like
no shade, but that, I mean, that's what we're looking at. Every right. That's what I feel I'm looking at when I scroll through socials.
Right. Okay, but back to your question about why I got into coloring instead of the cutting kind of aspect.
Well, and more specifically, how did you find blondes and bronze?
Okay. Yeah. So when I was in beauty school, I had this little group of friends, and it's so fun because we're still really close. I was actually just in Idaho this last weekend, and I went out to dinner with all of them. Like, we just have a really close relationship. And one of them in particular she would do like a balayage, if you will, like a freehand paint. And she would get her mirror, and it was one of those mirrors that kind of had a paddle on, it's like a big oval mirror with a paddle on it. And she would use that, and then she would paint her color on the board and then onto the hair, and then kind of move it up, kind of like breaking the rules, if you will, when she was doing this. And I was like, oh, wow, that's really cool. Like, I hadn't seen anything like that. Obviously in beauty school, you're kind of learning just the basics, and you don't go into the basics. And so yeah, I was really intrigued with what she was doing there. And I remember my first ombre balayage client, if you will. I kind of did those techniques, and it was not the best. I will say, it was not the best by any means, but it wasn't the worst either. And so I thought that was really cool that you could kind of, in a sense, break the rules. And
now, did she on her own just say, because I'm doing my own hair, let me grab this mirror because it would be a wide enough surface that I could paint my hair on, without knowing eventually that would become a technique called teasy lights? Or had she learned teasy lights, and therefore that was just her makeshift way of doing teasy lights on herself?
So I feel like teasy lights wasn't really a thing again.
That's what I'm thinking.
So she kind of just did it, and I was like, this is so cool.
That's so cool. I love that.
This is great. And so again, like, really neat that you can kind of come up with your own techniques and your own ways to do color. And again, not that I'm saying you can't do that with cut, but for me, the color just really intrigued me. And then also in beauty school, toning was not a thing. It really didn't become a thing until probably like 2 years after I was doing hair. So I feel like really recently it was either, we had shades, we used Redken shades, but it was like 9P, 9V, 9T. Like your very basic.
And that was it.
Yes, that was it. So very ashy, very neutral colors. And I just remember being like, when I did tone someone's hair one time, the instructor was very kind of like, oh, don't leave it on for too long. Like you can only leave it on for a second. Watch it really, really close. So I was kind of nervous because again, this is my first time doing it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what if I mess up? Like what's going on? And we never really got a good knowledge on toning. And so to me, that was also really fun for me to learn after the fact, and just kind of like being able to feel like a little chemist almost and mix up my own colors, achieve a certain tone depending on what colors I mix together. And so I had a really fun time doing that as well. And
Yeah,
I
I can see that. I can see the difference now of what separates someone who's a cutter and who's a colorist, because everything you just said is terrifying. I never wanted to do, literally not one of those things you just said ever crossed my mind of like, ooh, you know?
Yeah, no, for sure. It's funny how, yeah, like you say that, because then there's things with cutting that I'm like, oh, I could never.
Yeah.
I could never. But yeah, so that really kind of like, I think triggered me into wanting to do more color. And then also, sorry, a few more things, I guess, that got me into it.
No, I love it. No, don't be sorry. That's what you're here to do. Share your hair story. I love it.
What do they say? I'm a certified yapper. Is that what it is?
Hey. Well, you're a good guest then if you're a certified yapper, because it shouldn't be like pulling teeth, should it?
Right? No, absolutely. But yeah, so I remember so vividly, probably because it was like the worst experience of my life. But my very first client out of beauty school was a color client. And at the time I was working at this little salon. It had a few stations, but nobody was really there. Like it was just me. So I didn't really have the help of the other stylists. And I went straight into booth rent. So I did not do any sort of commission salon.
Okay.
So I just went, yeah, I went for it. I said, you know what? Okay. I want to have total control of everything. So I'm just going to do it.
Yep.
So started out, and this client that I had, she came in with an ombre and she just wanted to go back to her natural color. And so in my mind, I'm like, oh, okay, I'll just go ahead and put a 7N on her hair. It'll be fine. So I go and I do that. And then her hair turns muddy.
Of course.
Green. It's not a pretty color.
No, you didn't fill in the underlying pigments.
Yes.
Don't and get at it with the 7N. Yeah.
Right. And so I never learned that in beauty school. I didn't learn to fill hair. That was something that I had to learn on my own. And that experience definitely threw me for a loop.
Well, you know what? For the newbies who are my babies, that right there, what you just described, is the reason why apprenticeship is so important after beauty school.
Yes.
Because that's where you would learn kind of those things, right?
Oh,
if you're assisting under someone seasoned who knows what they're doing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think, I think part of that, you know, I didn't go right into that. And so I did just go straight into.
Yeah. You jumped in with both feet.
Yes. And yeah, I remember I got this, like, one of the girls a few days later at the salon was like, hey, I just want you to know, like, there's a pretty nasty review on Facebook about this hair that you did. And I was like, oh my God.
Oh no.
So, you know, of course, like my first color client out of beauty school, I was devastated. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do hair anymore. I'm done with this. Like that was kind of my trigger of, I'm like, I'm done doing color. I'm just going to focus on cuts. And I remember talking with my dad about it. My dad, he's a doctor, and he was telling me, you know, the amount of people that have come up to me and said, you're the reason so-and-so died. You're the reason this and that. He's like, I would have quit years ago, years and years ago. But you have to look at the positive and look at all the people that you've, you know, benefited from doing the hair.
Dad, that's great advice. Oh, that was a very important moment that he shared with you. Pivotal.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
You could have gone, you could have wasted what is a good talent or great talent. At that point, it had to stop.
Right. And because I was ready to be like, you know what, this isn't for me. I'm still young. I was actually in college at the time too. So I was doing school while I was doing hair. And so I was like, yeah, I'm just not going to do it. But then he kind of said that to me, and I was like, you know what? You're right. I just need to look at the people that I have done a really good job on, that are really happy with what I'm doing and are there for me while I'm learning. So I still did that. And then I actually decided to go to a different salon. The same girl owned these two salons, but I went to a different one because they got more walk-ins than the one that I was working at. And I went over there, and it was mainly men's cuts. So I was in a college town. I think we charged like $12 or $14 a haircut. And, you know, we were just getting them in and out really fast. And yeah, we did that. And I had some of my roommates would come and let me color their hair. And that, I just found so much joy in coloring the hair rather than cutting the hair. Yes, yeah. I hated the hair splinters, which I give major props to you and anybody that does all those haircuts. I still get them.
Like, oh my God, I can cut all day, all day.
Yeah. And I just was not, I mean, I could do a basic men's haircut, but
yeah,
I didn't want to put in the effort to really figure out like new techniques or, you know, learn how to do a really good pixie cut. And so I was just really more focused on the color. So yeah, so I just really kind of honed down, and I just, you know, I realized I had such a big passion for that. So I'm like, why am I doing something I don't like? I need to, you know, niche it down and do what I really enjoy doing.
Yeah, why be mediocre at something when you can be great at something?
Absolutely.
Especially when you find the passion in it, your clients are going to benefit.
Absolutely.
Because you're passionate, right?
Yeah.
Well, Katie, I was blessed with great mentors at the beginning of my career, and have since mentored others, as well as being influenced by different social media accounts that I follow. Who or what has been your biggest influence in your career as a stylist?
Okay, yeah. Oh man, I feel like there's so many. It's hard to pick just one. But I would say probably the girls that I went to beauty school with. Again, like my one friend, Jordan, she did that little technique. And I was just like, that is so cool. Like, it just goes back to that whole, you can be so creative in this industry and really just do anything and everything that you want to. And I don't know, I really was inspired by that. And I think that's kind of what kickstarted me wanting to do again.
You know what? I think I love that too, because most people have one of the greats, you know, some big seasoned person that they look up to as having mentored them. And for me, since I was at Toni and Guy, obviously the owner, who was our master stylist, he was my biggest mentor and influence, right? But you skip that part. So I love that for you, you have a different answer and a different path, in that one of your fellow students, you know, that you went to school with is your biggest influence, which is pretty cool.
Well, and yeah, it's great because, again, like, I don't know, I almost feel like a little sister to her in a sense, because even still, like, I mean, I don't know, again, I've been doing hair for 7 years, 8 years, but there's still so much to learn, so much to.
Is she still working in hair?
And she does, yes. So I will actually reach out to her when I have questions about things, or
I love it,
you know, need validation of something that I'm going to do. And she's
what's her name?
Her name is Jordan Lemire. She just got married. I don't know what her new last name is. It might be Lemire, but I had her in my phone as Jordan Hair for so long.
Hilarious.
I know. And so
we all have those contacts.
Yeah. So yeah, she was definitely a huge inspiration, as well as another friend that we started beauty school together at the same time. And her name is Yvette. And we actually both went into eyelashes for a little bit before we decided to do hair. She's still doing eyelashes, but I think as far as like social media wise, she's a huge inspiration for me there, because we kind of help push each other, and we kind of have the same idea with social media. And so, yeah, I feel like those two girls have really just, you know, pushed me in the right direction and got me to where
I think that's amazing. And well, they pushed and it worked, because you definitely are on the right path based on what you post and your beautiful work, which brings me into talking about your work. And what caught my eye specifically were your videos. But anyway, we're going to talk about your work here, and I'm going to pull up some images.
Perfect.
So let's talk about, you know what? That's one of mine. Let me talk about one of yours. Okay. Tell me about this. So
Okay.
obviously her before, she needs some help. I'm not sure
Mhm.
what's happening here, why those long ends are there. Maybe
Yeah,
you can explain.
absolutely. So this was actually my first extension client ever. Um,
Nuh-uh.
yes, my first new install on a client. So
What method is this?
so this is the habit method, but I have my
Okay.
own little tweaks. Again, like you can kind of tweak it your own and make it your own.
That's what you're supposed to
So,
do.
yeah, exactly. So when I was in Idaho, so my husband got into law school, and that's what made us go to Oregon. So we moved to Oregon in August of 2020, and that was brutal, obviously, for a lot of reasons, because everything was shut down. Even like for me to transfer my license to Oregon, I had to retake my written test. It didn't just kind of, you pay a fee and then you know can grandfather it over. I had to take a test, and they were, taking months to be able to go in to take the test. And so I had a really hard time with that. I started at a salon there again with COVID. It was a really cute, nice little salon, but I just wasn't getting any walk-ins. Nobody was coming in. So I figured I needed to work at a salon that had more of like a name, if you will, in the area, like just people, like more walk-in traffic, all those kind of things. And I found this salon, and the owner was actually looking for an assistant. And at this time I had been doing hair for, 4 years or so. So I was like, do I really want to do assisting after I already kind of have my things down? Anyways, I did it. I went into and I assisted her, and
I'm sure you have zero regrets.
oh, none at all. It was
Probably
amazing.
learned a ton.
Yes, and she was a great mentor. She actually taught me the extension method, as well as just a lot of business stuff on the side. And so, yeah, so this was actually, she helped me to get to this point of my new extension install.
I love it. So this is extension install that
Yeah.
you did, and you also did the color.
Yes. So this client particularly, she's so sweet. She does not speak very good English. So we did kind of have that broken barrier there, and I kind of had to, translate on my phone, like we would try to talk back and forth. But again, the sweetest person. And I don't know if you can kind of tell, but in that first before picture, she has like a few little strands in the back of her hair.
Yeah. What are the strands?
So those pieces were about 4 inches long, and they were just completely broken off.
Oh, wait, this is her hair.
Yes, her hair. So like at the very, like kind of where her like the end of her crown of her head goes. I don't if you know what I'm talking about. You can kind of see that.
I completely see it.
So
Totally.
they were just so over processed, and it made me so sad because her hair just needed some serious loving. And going into my new install, I was really nervous because I'm like, how am I going to blend these really short pieces with this breakage and all those things? But I was able to custom color her extensions and her hair to help really blend them seamlessly and help.
Well, I mean, you talk about it needed some loving. I'm like, you gave that thing a big old hug, because that before and after is real.
Yeah, and it's so fun to look back at and be like, wow, like
so how much time is involved in doing this? Because you started with 0 and you ended up at 100. So how much did this cost for her, and how much of your time did this cost?
So for her, it probably cost her around, I would say $1,500.
Okay.
I can't totally remember, but I think that's about what it cost. And that was, color, install, getting new extensions, all of those things. But time-wise, it probably took me, because I like to I usually, when I do extension clients, I usually have a consult beforehand, just so I know what I'm getting into. And then I can kind of color the extensions before they come in. But coloring the extensions usually takes me about 2 hours. And then to install, this was 2 rows, I would say another 2 hours. And then for color, probably another 2 hours. So probably about 6 hours of work.
Absolutely. And does that price, $1,500, include hair?
Yes. Yeah, that would include the hair.
Because I feel like most people lowball themselves. I don't think people, for all the work that goes into today's looks, with the toning and the extensions, and then that's actually 2 clients, because you have to do your client and the same thing to the extensions,
Mhm.
right? So that's more, like you say, 2 hours before you even have your client in your chair,
Right.
and I feel like people don't charge enough.
Yeah, no, and I will say I am an emotional charger. I am very much so the type of person that I
Same,
will, it's hard. It's
same.
hard. So I definitely do that. But I think again, where it was like my first, new install, I just really wanted to make sure I could do it the right way, make sure it felt the right way for her. But yeah, she was one of my clients until I left to go from Oregon to here. And yeah,
Beautiful.
fantastic.
Let's
Yeah.
talk about this client here. Another beautiful result.
Oh,
And
thank
I'm
you.
assuming this is same technique used as on the girl before.
So this is actually a little bit different. So that's all
Okay.
her hair. There's no extensions in
Oh,
there.
get out.
I know.
Are you joking?
I'm just like, you don't even understand how blessed you are. You have the most amazing hair.
I mean, it's like people that have real big butts. They're probably
Yes,
so mad because people just assume it's a BBL.
right.
So with
Yes.
her, she's probably like, people just assume she's got extensions.
Yeah, absolutely. And like really her hair is just amazing. But this
Wow.
this client in particular, she was actually a model for me because I wanted to do like a few videos, get a few content ideas from her. And her video actually was my one that kind of went a little viral. But with her hair, and this is what I really hope that people can understand, she naturally is like a level 7-8. So her hair lifted like a gem and there was
Gotcha.
no breakage. She just has like the perfect canvas for that kind of color. But yeah, so that was
She's a true natural blonde.
a true, yes. And so
So this
obviously
one, you did a cleanup on the bottom, and then you did just a few. Is this a balayage? Is this
yeah, I would say kind of like a foilage-ish.
foilage? Okay.
Like it's kind of funny because with the way that I color hair, I don't really have a rhyme or reason to it. I kind of just pick points out that I feel like need to be colored and go off of that. But I always use foils. I don't usually ever do like a clay lightener or anything like that. That's usually
Well, being that you're a true colorist, I'm sure it's always visual for you.
yeah, absolutely. And then yeah, this one's just a brunette. So I guess you can see there's my blondes, my brunettes. I like to do both.
So this is a blonding.
Yes, this would be the blondie kind of. I will say though, there is something about brunettes, and I also give major props to colorists that can do brunettes really well because it's tough. I feel like blondes are easier than brunettes.
I was gonna say that. I feel like blonding is way more. There are way more tricks involved.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
a little because to get it not to pull too warm and be that perfect like sun-kissed type of feel can't be easy.
Yeah, no, not at all. And there's actually a girl in the salon suites that I work with, and she's fantastic at doing these brunettes, and so it's fun because I get to
Pick her brain.
pick her brain. And I actually was a model for her hair class not that long ago, so that was fun too because then I could kind of just feel her technique and how it worked. But yeah,
well, I took a class from a very well-known influencer who specialized in blonding, and it cost me some money because I had to fly to a different state and what have you. And that's a whole nother story, what we see on Instagram versus what we actually get.
Oh yeah.
I digress. I'll leave it there.
Yeah.
All right. And let me just say, going back to this, your work looks far more amazing than the experience I got.
Oh,
and
you're so sweet. Well,
leave
thank
it
you.
there. Well, I'm not. I always say, because people tell me that, like, you're so sweet. I'm like, actually, I'm not sweet at all. I'm just honest.
I love it. Hey, well, I'm glad that you like it then.
Yes. So, Beat It Rose.
Yeah, this was just one that looked really nice and clean. I do take pride in what I do, and I want you to receive the best. So, I mean, that goes with color as well as extensions. But I have had people come in with some really scary extensions and color, because obviously, like that one that we just showed, like she had insane breakage that we had to really nurse back to health.
Yes.
But yeah, so this one in particular, sorry, pop up. Like I just wanted to showcase that I do take
No, those are
time and
perfect.
effort into making it, you know, as seamless as possible. And so, yeah, that's just kind of
And
like,
I'm happy to hear that, because I feel that's gotten lost a little bit too, just the importance of working clean, because clean intro is a clean outro. You know, if it starts sloppy, it's going to end sloppy.
absolutely. And one thing for me, and again, like I have tried to be faster doing color. I've tried to, you know, go faster doing my installs. But honestly, I'm like, I would rather take the time than mess something up or get an uneven color somewhere. So for me to do a full head of, you know, like a full custom color, it usually takes me anywhere between 4.5 to 5 hours. And yeah, my
No,
install.
that's me. I don't feel bad now, because I'm
No,
like,
don't feel
I'm
bad.
so slow, because I don't want to break your hair off. I don't
Right.
want to get bleed marks. I
Mhm.
don't, you create more work for yourself when you rush.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't have an assistant. And so, you know, again, it's something that I do take a little bit
Yeah.
longer with, but I'm totally fine taking longer with if the outcome turns out the way that I want it to.
Good
So,
on you. That's amazing. And your clients are better for it.
right. Yeah. And again, just that was a more recent, that was kind of just a maintenance color. But yeah, I really love I will say, I love that the trend, if you will, is those soft lived in colors.
Yes.
They're just so pretty to look at. They're so seamless. You can go
Yeah.
so long. I'm the type of person that I will only get my hair done once a year, if even that. And so I want my clients to also feel like they can go a long period of time before they have to come in. But yeah, so that was just,
Well, it looks beautiful.
thank you.
I'm going to talk about, Katie, your fun videos,
Okay.
because they all make me smile. And you never know. This is the prime example, right? You never know who's, I don't know. The word follower just sounds so creepy to me. It sounds very culty and like stalkery, but
Yes.
you
Yeah,
know,
no,
you never know who's following you. And so I
right.
have, because of your videos. So let me
Okay.
just give an example.
Perfect.
First of all, I pulled this one because I think it's a beautiful canvas of you and your hair, everything about you. As an introduction, I think it was just a beautiful video.
Oh, thank you.
This one here.
Less is more when it comes to products. Just keep it simple.
That's super
Here's
cute.
your hot tip for
I'll
the
do
day.
it one more time.
Less is more when it comes to products. Just keep it simple.
So how did you come up with that one?
So I had a really good friend from high school actually moved to Arizona at the same time that I did.
Yeah.
And she is very into marketing. She's going to school for marketing. And she, you know, kind of came up with the idea to do kind of these hot tips, if you will. And I was like, you know what? Sure, let's do it. I was always so worried about what I looked like. I cared so much about, you know, if my hair was in the right spot or the side that you were on, because I have a side that I like better than the other side. And so we did one, and my first one that she did, we both were like, we're not going to post it. I look rough, whatever. Anyways, we decided to post it, and that's the one that did end up going a little viral. And it's just kind of funny to me to see that, because I'm like, people really do enjoy seeing you as a person and who you really are, rather than, yeah, just like some fake person behind the screen.
No, I agree. I agree. They want to know that you're human.
Right.
You
Absolutely.
know, and I think that was such a cute way to, because literally everybody, we have so many products under our bathroom sink. We can't even count. We don't know how old they are. We don't use any of them. We go to the same two products. So I think that was a great marketing tool that you used to give that valuable tip, you know, because you're right. You can buy 10 products, but what are you going to use?
Right. That's
Your
just the
favorite.
Yeah, I feel like it just again comes down to just keep it simple with this one particularly. because even with clients, like if you're trying to do retail, if you're using, 10 products on their hair, they're going to be so confused. They're not going to know what to do. So that's why I just like to keep it as simple as I can with my products for my clients. And, that's how I do sell retail. That's how I get them to buy the actual things that they really do need for their hair. And yeah, it was just a quick little thing that I don't
great tip. I love it.
Yeah.
This one I pulled because it's just that pretty, like buttery blonde without being too ashy. And I noticed you used the 8GG, and me having started color in 2020, it's terrifying still. I mean, I do it. Yesterday, I actually did a beautiful blonde. I was so proud of myself. And the fact that I don't post any of my work, because that's just not, I missed the boat on doing that. But I do appreciate those who do. And this 8GG, please do tell.
Okay. So like I said before, like it took me a while to figure out how the whole toning game worked. I would just do, your very basic 9V, 9P, 9T. It was so muted. It was not pretty. And I would use it on everybody, however they lifted. Like it was never the same. But I came to realize, and this goes back to that filling part, if you really want good coverage on the root, you need to add that filler before you add in the neutral. So that's kind of why I did that. I like to have a neutralizer, a filler, and a cancel outer. I know that's not a word.
That's actually a really good, I don't know, little blueprint, if you will, footprint.
Right. So I have that ANA, which sometimes I just put colors in there just to put them in there. I really probably didn't need to put the ANA because I have the 7V. But
what were you working on? Like, what's the raw surface of this outcome?
So this is the same one as that picture that I had showed before, where she is naturally like a level 7-8.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So really, I had a really kind of easy canvas to work with.
Yeah.
But again, where she did lift so nicely, if I were to just put like an 8NA 7N on there, it would have come out kind of muddy and, just not a really pretty root color.
And what would have made it muddy? Just the fact that you did 2 ends?
Yeah, just that it's
too much brown.
Yeah, just where there's that neutral to it, because if you don't put the filler in there, it's the same as going all over a dark color. You want to put that filler in, or else it's going to just look kind of.
You got to give it a background.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so your filler in this case would have been the 8GG and the 7V?
So the 8GG is just my filler in this one.
Got you. And your cancel out would be the 7V.
Yes.
Cancel out the yellow.
Yep. And then just to kind of help neutralize everything, that's why I put that 7N and 8NA in there.
Got you.
Yeah.
And so double G though, because I know single G is scary enough, but double G sounds terrifying. Like,
yes, I know. I don't put
it like it worked.
I did equal parts on this one, so it was all the same for the root, and it's one of those things. I think for me in my mind, I'm like, okay, I am putting so many neutral, ashier, cooler tones in here that I do need to cancel it out with a warmer color. So even if I were to put because I use shades, if I were to put an NB in there or even like a GB, I just feel like I wouldn't get the full.
So your 7N obviously went on the roots because it's a 7, but the 8 is the toner, right?
So the 7 and 8, that was the toner for her roots. It's like the semi-permanent for her roots.
This whole formula.
Yes. And then a little bit more into the video, I put on the bottom the formula for her all over gloss.
Got you. Okay. So I had I see it in the middle. Okay. Got you. So I had that because I'm like, wait a second. She's talking about 7. That's the roots.
Yeah. So that was all for the root.
And then at the bottom, they're used 10 series for the rest.
Yes. And kind of similar with the all over gloss as well. Like you can see, it's kind of hard to see, but I do put 10 AA in there. And then I put 10 VG and 10 P. So it's similar concepts. Like I said, neutralize, fill, and cancel out.
So the 10 VG. Okay. Gotcha. I'm coming back to color world.
Yeah.
Get my brain just is not wired
Hey, and that's okay.
to
Because even
hone
still,
in.
I
Yeah.
feel like, again, every time I do a color, it's not the same. Like I kind of just am like, okay, I think this is, I just kind of throw some things together and hope for the best. But
Oh my God. I know you are so frustrated listening to this with my dumb ass. You guys, I'm so dumb sometimes. I'm sure your clients appreciate that. So your profile pic at the bottom is covering the first. So is that a 10 NA, a 10
it's a 10
N, a 10
AA.
T, a 10 AA?
Yes.
Okay. And a 10
It's a
N?
10P, 10P,
Okay.
10T, and then 10 VG.
Not me taking the eye test and failing because I'm trying to do this without my glasses.
It's
Not me
okay.
not being able, I'm all like 10.
Like, how far can you read down?
I'm like, I can see the top, but I'm trying to be cool and cute doing this without my
Oh my
glasses.
goodness. You're so funny.
Okay, so for those of us who need a little education when it comes to toning hair, explain why you chose these four. I know that you're a math scientist. I know there's not necessarily rhyme or reason.
Yeah.
I got that.
Yep.
So, but when you put these four together, what did you see and what did you formulate because of what you saw?
Yeah. So again, she lifted like a dream. Her hair was like the perfect canvas for any blonde. But so I probably could have just left her with a raw lift and she would have been fine. But I did just want to add a little bit of shine, a little bit of reflection to her hair. And so with that, I mean, the P and the T can be pretty strong. In the 10 series, they are a little less strong, I feel like, than in the 9 series. But I did still want, she really liked kind of like that ashy color. So I wanted to give her that. So those are my two that I'm kind of canceling out her yellow. If you like, again, she lifted so great. She didn't have that much yellow, but her yellow that she had, that's helping to cancel that out. And then the 10 VG is kind of like my neutralizer with a little bit of the V and the G in there. It's just a good, it has a good background to it. It's like a violet gold. It's a pretty just easy overall toner to use. And then the AA, that one, I'm not sure what it's called in the 10 series, but in the 9 series, it's called papaya. So when you mix it, it's really red. It looks very red. It almost like a ketchup. It's what it looks like.
Oh my God, I die.
Yeah,
go on.
It's scary. And I tell my clients that too. I'm like, I know it's scary. It's not like anything to worry about. Just sit back and relax and I'll do my thing. But the AA, it really, again, if you don't have that warmth behind those other colors, it really is just going to look dull, muted. It's not going to give it that pretty shine, that pretty like expensive blonde that I feel like people love. So you need a little bit of that warmer color to help really bring out that pretty reflection, that pretty glow to that color.
Thank you for explaining that. You explained that perfectly because
good.
not everybody does, and you're trying to catch these videos and reels, and you're like, you gave me a little bit, but I'm still trying to make sense of what you said. So thank you for explaining that to those of us who need just a little bit more help in that area.
I hope that makes enough sense.
No, it made perfect sense. So I pulled this one. Hilarious. Again, freaking hilarious.
Thank you. This is actually, so funny story about this one. I posted this on my TikTok as well. And I had people reach out to me and they're like, I'm booking an appointment with you just because of this video.
You see what I'm saying? Okay, I'm going to play it.
If you see me and you trying to see what's up. If you see me and you trying to see what's up.
Oh my God. I love that.
It's, again, it kind of goes back to that whole, like, I just want people to know who I am. And I'm not a serious person. I'm goofy. I'm silly. I could talk about Diet Coke all day. Like, it's just, it's part of me. And so, yeah, I was like, I like this. Like, I like the idea of this. And I want people, again, to just really have a good, transparent idea of who I am and not just this person behind a screen.
Well, most of my ideas either stay in my head or in my camera roll, and they never, ever, ever make it
Yeah.
out alive. So how do you choose what tips you're going to share and what your process is for taking those ideas and moving them from your brain onto the screen?
So oh gosh, let's see. I feel like Instagram is so hard. It's so hard because they tell you all this thing about the algorithm, how you need a hook, how you need a catchy phrase, how you need to engage with people before and after you post. Like, there's so much that goes into that. And it kind of just really stressed me out. I was like, I have hair to deal with. I don't want to have to deal with social media as well. Like, this is just too much. And I kind of got over just posting my before and afters. I feel like I kind of got old.
Boring.
It's really fun to see, yes, but it was just like anybody else, right? Like, I feel like so many people just post their before and afters, and I love seeing that, but it wasn't exciting to me. I didn't find any value in that. And so for me, potentially, I would love to do education someday. That's something that I have, again, a huge passion for. I would love to eventually do something along those lines. And I figured a good way to start is might as well see if my followers are into that. And so that's why I started posting kind of like my hot tips, or more directed towards hairstylists than to clients. And so, yeah, I do kind of break the rules. Like I said, I kind of do things that most people wouldn't usually think to do, especially as a baby hairstylist or other stylists. They just don't, in my mind, I'm like, oh, everybody knows this. But if I just need to put it out there because there's a lot of people that don't know about it.
It's amazing how many people don't know. It's almost shocking. Some of the questions even that you get in your chair that you just assume your clients know, and they don't.
Right.
It's so like, I'll give you an example recently. And I think when it came out of her mouth, she instantly realized probably should have kept that in her mouth,
Yes.
Like, so, because I'm trying to get her to trim her ends and get her to realize that the reason why you're not getting length, your hair's not getting longer, is because you go too long in between cutting your ends, right? And keeping them healthy. So as the hair is growing from the root, it's breaking on the ends. Therefore, it's staying the same, right? And so if we keep those ends nice and clean and healthy, when it grows from the roots, you get to retain the length instead of having to cut it off. And so she said, oh, I thought you were going to, because I thought my hair grew from the bottom, and that's why you're going to say. And then as she's talking, and she goes, oh, wow, no, it does not grow from the bottom. I'm like, no, it does not grow from the bottom.
Oh, that's sweet, girl. Poor girl.
I was like, wow, I thought everybody would just assume it was coming. Anyway, but yeah, I totally get it, what you're saying. And you're right. So this is working because you're growing and growing and growing on your social media, as am I, and I'm so excited about that.
So fun.
It's bringing you more clients. Do you find that it's are your clients? How has it changed? Like the clients that come into you, and what type of response are you getting from your followers?
Yeah, so where I just moved here a year ago, I had to build up my whole clientele again. And living in Arizona, I'm sure you understand, the beauty industry is very, very saturated. It's wonderful, but everybody and their dog knows somebody that does hair.
Okay.
So it was hard for me to kind of, come to a new place again, try to get my clientele again. Yeah. And that's like a whole nother story of trying to build up a whole clientele in a new place. But I was getting a few clients here and there. A girl that I knew, so I work in a salon suite, and a girl that I knew that used to work in the salon suite moved, and she was able to give me a few of her clients, which was great. Forever grateful for that. But I wasn't getting fully booked like I wanted to be. And so I was like trying to, do my Instagram, social media platform, figure that out. And that was hard because I wanted to gear it towards hairdressers, but also to clients as well. but then when I had this one that kind of just went a little viral, it's funny because a lot of my new clients will come in and say, you know, I had a hairdresser. She was fantastic. But I saw your video and I just feel like you know so much, you know, what you're, which is hilarious because
you do. You do know so much.
I don't know that much.
But you know what? If you're being authentic and it's resonating, then you do know.
Right, yeah, right. And so like they would just come in and be like, yeah, I saw your videos, which is wild to me that even a potential client saw my video that's geared towards hairdressers. And I think where I was like not fully put together, I was wearing like a band t-shirt and my hair wasn't even done. I think I had like just let it air dry that day. Like it was very, you know, not put together. But I think just showing the realness of that, again, it comes back to that whole just showing who you really are. And people really liked that. So I've gotten a handful of clients from that. And even stylists, like they've reached out to me and asked me a lot of questions. And I'm happy to answer those questions like if I can. And yeah, so it's been fun to see the effects of those videos.
I think that's awesome. And we all appreciate it. Keep doing them. Keep growing in your social media. I'm sure it's just going to get better and better. With this job that we do, it's not easy. In fact, it's freaking hard. Okay. Everybody thinks it is easy, but it's not. What are some challenges that you faced in your career and how did you overcome those challenges?
Yeah. Okay. So a few that I can think of. The first one's funny. So my feet swell so bad.
Really?
So bad. And since moving to Arizona, it's been like a bajillion times worse. I don't know if it's the heat, the climate, whatever. But where I work, we don't have anti-fatigue mats. It's just a concrete floor. So standing on that all day long. And again, like I said, I'm the type of person that takes 4 to 5 hours on a client and I don't sit down when I'm doing that. So I am standing 4 hours on end on a day. So I have gotten some compression socks.
I was going to say, might I suggest?
Yeah, it's made the world of a difference. It sounds so
drinking tons of water.
And that as well. I think I was just retaining all the water as well because I would drink a ton of water and it was just sitting in me. And so that has been a huge kind of thing that has helped. But a huge one that I can think is building my clientele. Again, I think with social media and everything, it seems like you're all good. Everything's fairies and rainbows and perfect. But in reality, you know, again, there's where the struggle comes into play. And as hairstylists, we don't get PTO. We don't get to go right into a job and get things handed to us. Like we have to bust our butts to get it figured out. So yeah, the one was obviously me moving to Oregon and trying to get my clientele built there. It was really difficult until I got into the salon where I did assist because the lady that I assisted for, I would assist for her for 3 days a week. And then she would let me have a chair for 3 days a week. Okay. And she would just give me clients. So that was amazing. And where it was kind of a more well-known salon in the area, they had multiple inquiries. So I was able to get my clientele built pretty quick there, which was really amazing. But then coming here, I know nobody, you know, it was a whole new world and people already have their hairstylist or they're in beauty school and they're going to become a hairstylist. Like there's just, it's very saturated. And so I had to figure out kind of some unique different ways to build my clientele. And obviously one of those was social media, but something that I did with that is I would look up like hashtags of Gilbert influencer or like just little things. And I would find people that could be a potential client and I would reach out to them and say, hey, like, I love your hair. I'm a hairstylist. I will do your hair at, you know, for free if you let me do your hair and you post about it and say that I'm here. So because business cards kind of are not it anymore.
They're not a thing, are they?
No, and people lose them. You're just going to grab them and throw them away or put them in their purse and forget about it.
Yeah, everybody puts everything in their phone.
Yeah, exactly. So I had to find new ways to really put myself out there. And same with like, if I'm at the gym and I see a person that I really like their hair, I have to, you know, grow up hair and go up to them and say, hey, like, this is kind of crazy of me, but I do hair. Like if it's something you're interested in, here's my page. Let me know. I'd love to do it for you.
I wondered if people were still doing that, if they were still cold calling and
Yeah, it's hard.
hitting the pavement, if you will.
Yeah.
What advice is that the advice that you would give to aspiring stylists? Because it takes a village for us to stay strong, which is the passion behind this show, as I shared with you, solely to help the next generation of hair and beauty professionals. So what advice would you give to new stylists who are just starting out in the industry?
Yeah, I would say it's not as easy as it seems, because I really do think this new generation that is going in, I feel like, and again, no judgment to this whatsoever, but I do just feel like they're going into this thinking that they know everything. Just with all of the tools they do have, because there is TikTok, there's YouTube, there's Instagram that they can see all these videos, but really you need to do it on your own to experience what it is that you like, what it is that you don't like. You can't just go into it thinking you know everything, because even still to this day, I don't know everything. I, struggle with things, and still I'm like, why am I doing this again? Like there's times that I think about that. So I would say that, but then also just build your connections, especially in the industry. It's so important to find your tribe and those people that you can relate back to, ask questions. I worked at a salon in Oregon that had 10 stations, I think, and we were all part-time. So there was about 20 of us in the salon, but that salon was incredible. Like those girls to this day are some of my absolute best friends. And if I have questions, I can just reach out to them. No deal. They're just like, oh, perfect. Yeah, let me help you out. So it's just, I think finding your tribe, finding your people is really important when it comes to thriving in this industry.
I think that is definitely, that's why we have girlfriends. That's why we have family. People need people. Yeah. Everyone needs everyone. That's what I say. Are there any specific courses, Katie, that you've taken or that you recommend to new stylists?
Yeah, actually, so a goal of mine is to try to take some sort of education class once a year. They have gotten more expensive, unfortunately, but understandably, like there's, the pros and cons to both of that. But I would say, gosh, out of everyone that I've taken, I feel like Michelle and Dom was really incredible. They made it very simple and it wasn't complex. So I don't know, I just love them as people as well. Like they're just very fun, easygoing people. And I think that just made the world of a difference. And I really, really enjoyed that class.
Okay. I'll see if I can reach out to one of them. They may be too big to respond, but we'll see Dom and Michelle or Michelle. I know Dom. I guess I just don't. Do they work as a team? Are they married or?
Well, I think that they're dating. They've been dating.
Oh, they're dating.
While, but Dom does the haircuts and then she does the color. But she has, I don't know if you've heard of the brand Main Ivy. She just came out with a new like hair elixir serum. If you haven't tried it, it's incredible. She's actually in Scottsdale.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's actually around the corner from us.
Oh, wow. Okay. I'll have to check her out.
Yeah.
What are as far as future goals go, Katie, what, this is the part, that we talk about trends. The name of the show is Trendy with Kim Allison. So not only do I want to educate people on hair and whatever the technique and the artistry portion is of what they do, we also talk about the latest trends. Like, what do you see emerging in hair color and styling, and how are you preparing for said trends?
Yeah, I can say I have some exciting things happening in the next little bit, but it's on DL right now. So
we can't share. Dang it!
I know.
I thought we were gonna get some tea. I thought we were gonna
dish something out.
Yes.
But yeah, so that'll be coming here soon, which I'm so excited about. But as far as like trends go, I think really it just comes down to like your creativity. For a while there, I feel like things were just getting pretty plateaued. Things were the same. Like I would go to hair classes and I feel like I knew what they were doing before they even started doing it. Yeah. And so it just got really repetitive. if you will. So I think just going outside of the box, like doing things that make you different are huge, and that's what's going to make you stand out. And I think that is trendy right now. Whether it's you're amazing at doing a blowout, whether it's amazing, your money pieces are so soft and subtle, like just finding your little thing and really sticking with that, I think makes you trendy and different, and people like that.
Yeah, I love that. And I think part of the reason why things are getting complacent is because now there's so much education or so-called educators that they are now taking techniques from this educator. They probably took a class or two and now they are an educator. Does that make sense? So you're just regurgitating kind of what you just watched or what you just learned so that you can build your own platform. So after a while, it gets more and more watered down each time it's regurgitated, right? And so because I'm not sure people are adding enough of themselves when they pick up new techniques, they're almost repeating verbatim what they learned from someone else. And so by the time you get to that person's class, you're like, wait a minute, I already know this.
Right.
We all know this. Like, what am I even doing here?
Yeah. And I mean, luckily for us, we do live in a spot where people come here for hair classes, so I don't have to travel. But when I was in Oregon and Idaho, I mean, I was traveling, going to all these places and, spending quite a chunk of money to see these classes where I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, you're like, okay, hi. I could have watched your YouTube video and been fine, but okay. And let's talk about your personal insights, Katie. As we wrap this up.
Okay.
I know firsthand that hair life can become your life. It just can. So how do you balance your professional life with your personal life? Like, how do you find that work-life balance?
You don't. Just kidding. I feel like it's hard. It's so hard. I talked with, somebody had asked a question actually in the Michelle Dom Dom class, and they were like, this question. They had asked, like, how do you balance it? Because her social media is great, but it seems like her life is great. Like, she has kids, the whole thing. She says, you just have to be present all the time. She's like, I know it's crazy. It seems like a lot, but just being like, again, people don't care what you post. They don't care how you look. They don't care. They care about like what you're doing, but they don't care about looks. They don't care about
any of that.
Yes. Like all the, glitz and glam kind of thing. But I think it just comes down to that. Just kind of like, who cares? Just share it. And even if it is like a life thing, I think it makes you more relatable. So really, I feel like the balance there is just being able to show everything, whether you like want to show it or not. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it totally makes sense. So you're saying on your page, you're sharing your professional life and your personal life. If you are a content creator, that is, you can also not share it.
Yes.
Is what I thought I heard you say.
Yeah. But I feel like, okay, going back to the balance, there is something. So being a booth renter, I just have people text me on my phone or reach out to me that way. So it can get a little crazy sometimes where like if I want to go on vacation and I just want to enjoy it, I feel like I can't because I have people like texting me and I need to respond to them. But I have just come to the conclusion of saying, I am on vacation. I will get back to you, in X amount of days. Thank you for understanding. Hope you have a good day. Or like hours wise, like I don't respond to people usually between like 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. That's the time that I will respond. But after that, I'm not responding. Those are normal business hours, even a little bit more than normal business hours. And just not letting people take advantage of that, I think helps you have a good work-life balance.
Good for you. I think that's great advice because when we're building, especially, we think that we owe them a response and it's like, or we'll lose them, and it's like, well, you can't train them to treat you that way either. Because if you're responding to them at 1 o'clock in the morning, then they're going to think they can text you at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
That's what you're training them to do by responding, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they just expect it. And then that causes more stress on your life, and it's not fun. So as long as you set those boundaries at the beginning, I feel like it makes life easier, makes it more
Oh,
enjoyable.
1000%. Do you feel like you've mastered that?
Yeah, I wish I could say yes, but I do feel like I've done pretty well. And like, I have like a policy set, certain things like that. Like I do feel like I am pretty good about, if someone texts me at 11 p.m. at night, I'm not responding to them until the morning. Or even like a weekend, sometimes on weekends, I won't respond. But yeah, no, I feel like I have done a pretty decent job at
Now
setting.
you say to your father, your dad is a doctor, your husband's a lawyer. So being that he's a lawyer, that must take a lot of his time,
It
right? So
does.
for you and your career, because you also not only have to balance your career, you have to balance your marriage, because
Right.
keeping that strong, because you're young, so your marriage is new
Right. Yes.
for the most part, yeah.
Yeah, no,
And
definitely.
so I'm sure you have to carve out that and incorporate that into all of this as well.
For sure. Yeah. We actually, so before I moved here, I worked Saturdays for as long as I can remember. I always worked Saturdays. Obviously, while my husband was in law school, I was working Saturdays. It just made sense. That was an easy day to get people in. But during those 2.5 years of us being in Oregon, I feel like we hardly ever saw each other because he was always locked away in a room doing studying or at school. I was at work. So really like we just never got the chance to see each other much. So one of my things moving down here was I want to be able to spend the weekends with my husband. So I decided not to do Saturdays, which has been a big cutback because it does work for a lot of people to come in on Saturdays. But in my mind, I think, okay, if you can take time off to go to a doctor's appointment, you can also take time off to go to a hair appointment.
True.
This is our business. It's something that we, need to set those times, and that if that works, it works. If not, then I'm sorry, but you can go somewhere else. Like that kind of sounds mean, but that's just
You know what? That's what it is. I mean, but
yeah.
you know what? Your relationship with your husband
Mhm.
has got to take priority. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
that's a whole different level of commitment. Like
Yeah,
we're committed to our jobs, but you know, that's more important than anything is your family.
right. It's 100% true. And so yeah, so I've just said I'm not working Saturdays, and it's been so great because we do have the weekends together now, and we can go on a weekend getaway, or like it's been really great doing that. But also, my husband does travel for work sometimes. He'll go up to Sedona once a month for work, and so the nice thing about being a hairstylist and being a booth renter is I have flexibility over my schedule. So there's times that I can say like, oh, it's not going to work. I'll just go up to Sedona with him for an overnighter and then come back. But just being able to like work out those little things to have that family time is huge, and it's super important. And I do love that in this industry you can have that flexibility.
Yes, awesome. Well, I'm happy to hear that you at such a young stage in your career as compared to me, 29 years you've been in it, you're young in it.
No, it's amazing though. I find that so incredible when people have done it for
I don't
X
know how the time went by though. It
yeah,
doesn't feel like it's been that long, honestly. And I almost feel like it's embarrassing to even say that I'm still doing it after that long. I don't know. It's one of those careers where I know, I mean, no shade to anybody that is a dancer, but things like that, you can only do it for so long. I feel like we kind of get lumped into that category. I'm like, well, we're doing hair. I
right.
mean, we're not. I mean, you still should be able to use your hands. Like, we're
Yes.
not doing anything wrong just because you've been doing it long. So what? If your body can still hold up and you still enjoy it, what's the problem?
Why not? Yeah. Why keep doing? There's a lady actually that I worked with in Idaho, and she told me she was going to work, work until the day she died, and get her hair colored until the day she died. And sure enough, like she
Still
did.
doing it.
But
I mean,
she
that
did.
probably is what keeps her young.
Yes. Oh, and she was so spunky and so fun, and like she had just seen so much compared to what I had, and so it was really. I love when I meet people that have been in the industry longer than I have. It's just there's just something about you guys that it's just you give off a really fun vibe.
Yeah, I mean, it is fun, and you meet so many people that you wouldn't have known otherwise. So it becomes, when you've done it this long, you have a loyal following, everybody, you have cultivated an environment that you all resonate and align. Is this a comfortable place to be?
Yes. Yeah,
So
definitely.
with that said, I have enjoyed this interview very much. You were a great guest and
Oh,
are a
thank
great
you.
guest, I should say. It's not like you're dead. What did I say were? Like, really? But at this point of the show, I like to do a fun thing because I'm corny. It is also corny and I love games. This is called the 60-second blowout.
Okay.
And I do a rapid fire with you where you don't see what's coming and you have 1 minute to answer all of these questions as fast as you can.
Okay.
So far, so don't you worry. No one has gotten through all of my questions. So
Oh,
just
shoot, my hands are
answer,
sweating now.
yes. So just answer as many as you can. They're
Okay.
random. Random.
Okay.
Okay. Are you ready?
As ready as I can be.
Let me set my timer. And this is when I give myself permission to put my eyes back on.
Well, they're cute. You look so
Let
cute.
there be light. Thank you. Okay, here we go.
Okay.
Favorite social media platform?
TikTok.
Dream celebrity client?
Zendaya.
Heels or sneakers?
Sneakers.
Early bird or night owl?
Early bird.
Favorite beauty influencer?
Oh, I don't know.
Go-to hairstyle for a night out?
Curls.
Most used hair product?
7 seconds detangler.
Favorite holiday?
4th of July.
Favorite fashion trend?
Charm necklaces.
Texting or talking on the phone?
Talking on the phone.
Sweet or savory snacks?
Savory.
Favorite movie or TV show?
She's the man.
If you could travel anywhere right now, where would it be?
Italy.
Favorite way to spend a day off?
Doing something outside.
Love it. And lastly, make your silliest selfie face.
Oh, goodness.
I love that. You of all people, you should have one just
I
on
know. You would think I was just
style with your video.
numbered up.
Well, as I said, Katie, it's been an amazing interview. So fun to chat with you. And I'm happy to hear that you seem so balanced. Your head is in the right place. I know you're going to be a great educator someday because you have the right foundation based on how you answered all of my questions, at least that is. I'm going to let you get to it and enjoy your beautiful little puppy.
Thanks.
And
Yeah, he's been really good. He's just been.
I know he's been here the whole time. He's so cute.
Yeah, he's just chilling.
So you have the most amazing week.
Oh, thank you. Same with you, and thank you again so much for having me on here. This was so fun.
Oh my gosh, I'm hoping that I can have you on later on, and maybe you can give us just like a little master class in toning.
Oh my goodness, absolutely. I would love to.
All right. Have a good week. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.